The film opens with Dumbledore arriving on Privet Drive and meeting Professor McGonagall, who has been observing the Dursleys in her cat form. The Dursleys are introduced as cruel and neglectful. Dumbledore informs her that Voldemort is gone, and Hagrid is on his way with the orphaned Harry Potter. Hagrid arrives on a flying motorcycle, delivering the infant Harry, who bears a lightning bolt scar. Dumbledore explains that Harry must live with his aunt and uncle until he is old enough for Hogwarts, despite McGonagall's concerns about their suitability. The film then jumps forward several years, depicting Harry living in a cupboard under the stairs at the Dursleys' home. He is mistreated, burdened with chores, and largely ignored. Vernon Dursley desperately tries to prevent Harry from reading them, even boarding up the letterbox. His bleak existence is disrupted by a sudden deluge of letters addressed to him. When that fails, he takes the family to a remote island in a desperate attempt to escape the persistent mail. On Harry's 11th birthday, Hagrid dramatically arrives in the midst of a storm to finally deliver Harry's Hogwarts acceptance in person, breaking down the door to reach him. Initially, Harry does not recognize Hagrid or know anything about Hogwarts. At the shack, Hagrid informs Harry that he is a wizard, a claim Harry initially doubts, but Hagrid insists it's true. Hagrid presents Harry's acceptance letter to Hogwarts, but Vernon Dursley refuses to allow him to attend, revealing that the Dursleys knew about Harry's magical abilities all along. Enraged, Hagrid magically gives Dudley a pig's tail before taking Harry to London to acquire his school supplies. They arrive in Diagon Alley, where Harry is recognized by everyone, including Professor Quirrell, the new defense against the dark arts teacher. Hagrid then takes Harry to Gringotts Wizarding Bank, where he retrieves a mysterious package for Hogwarts, after using a letter from Dumbledore to gain access. Leaving the bank, they proceed to Ollivander's wand shop. Inside Ollivander's, the shopkeeper reveals the wand's unusual connection to Voldemort, whose wand shared a phoenix feather with Harry's. Hagrid gives Harry a snowy owl, whom they name Hedwig, as a birthday present, and later tells Harry about Voldemort's rise to power, his murder of Harry's parents, and the fact that not all wizards are good. Before leaving Harry to acquire his wand, Harry, intrigued by the mystery surrounding his survival and his parents' death, questions Hagrid, who is visibly uncomfortable but confirms that something about Harry baffled Voldemort, making him famous as the boy who lived. At King's Cross Station, Hagrid gives Harry his Hogwarts ticket, emphasizing the importance of sticking to it, and points out the unusual platform 9 3/4. Confused, Harry seeks help and encounters Molly Weasley, who kindly shows him how to pass through the barrier between platforms 9 and 10. On the Hogwarts Express, Harry meets Ron Weasley, who explains the collectible chocolate frog cards. They purchase more sweets and then meet Hermione Granger, who is searching for a lost toad. Harry gets a Dumbledore card, but the image vanishes almost immediately. To impress them, Hermione expertly fixes Harry's glasses with a spell, showcasing her magical talent and reminding them to change into their robes. Ron is amazed by Hermione's skill and then recognizes Harry as the famous Harry Potter. Harry is sorted into Gryffindor after the Sorting Hat acknowledges his courage, talent, and need to prove himself. Dumbledore announces the start of the feast, where Harry meets a Muggle-born student and learns from Percy Weasley about Snape's desire for Quirrell's job. Nearly headless Nick appears, lamenting his rejection from the Headless Hunt and revealing the Gryffindor common room password, Caput Draconis. The students are led to the Gryffindor common room, where they find their dormitories. Later, Harry and Ron are late to Transfiguration class, earning a reprimand from Professor McGonagall. Snape then begins his potions class by criticizing wand-waving and subjecting Harry to a barrage of questions he cannot answer. During potions, Ron struggles with a letter he receives. Meanwhile, a newspaper article reveals a Gringotts security breach, concerning Harry and Hermione because it was the same vault Hagrid took Harry to. During a flying lesson, Neville loses control of his broom and injures himself, prompting Madame Hooch to leave for the hospital wing. Malfoy then steals Neville's Remembrall, leading Harry to defy orders and retrieve it by flying after him. Harry learns he is the youngest Quidditch player in a century, and the Weasley twins jokingly warn him about the dangers of the game. Hermione tells Harry that Quidditch is in his blood, and he discovers his father was also a seeker after looking at a Gryffindor Quidditch plaque. A moving staircase leads them to an abandoned room with a ghostly statue, and they narrowly escape Filch and Mrs. Norris by fleeing through a door. They stumble upon a giant, three-headed dog, Fluffy, guarding a trapdoor, and Hermione identifies the third-floor corridor as forbidden. Later, on Halloween, Professor Quirrell bursts into the Great Hall announcing a troll in the dungeon before collapsing, causing chaos. While the other students are being evacuated, Harry and Ron search for Hermione, who is in the restroom, upset after Ron insulted her. They find a troll attacking Hermione and manage to subdue it, with Harry shoving Ron's wand up its nose. Professors McGonagall, Snape, and Quirrell arrive to find the trio, and Hermione falsely claims responsibility to protect Harry and Ron. McGonagall deducts points from Gryffindor for Hermione's lack of judgment, but awards points to Ron and Harry for their sheer dumb luck. At the end of term, Harry receives a Nimbus 2000 broom as a gift. Harry receives a Nimbus 2000 broomstick for Christmas, making Ron envious because Harry rarely gets mail. Oliver Wood begins tutoring Harry on the Quidditch field for his first match against Slytherin, and Harry expresses concern about getting hurt. During the match, the Slytherin team targets Harry, and Hermione suspects Snape is hexing his broom. To interfere, Hermione casts a spell that sets Snape's cloak on fire. Harry is thrown from his broom, which appears to be malfunctioning, but he recovers, dives, and catches the snitch in his mouth, winning the game and earning Gryffindor 150 points. They discover she's been snooping in the library because she considers them her friends and wants to help them investigate Nicholas Flamel, but realize they need a spell and can't find Flamel mentioned in any books, even in the restricted section. Harry uses his invisibility cloak to sneak into the restricted section of the library alone. He accidentally drops his lamp, alerting Filch, whose voice demands that Harry show himself. Harry, still troubled by the Mirror of Erist, is found by Dumbledore, who explains the mirror's nature and warns against dwelling on dreams. Dumbledore reveals the mirror will be moved. Hermione discovers Nicholas Flamel is the only known maker of the Sorcerer's Stone, a substance that grants immortality. They deduce Fluffy is guarding the stone on the third floor. Sneaking to Hagrid's hut, they learn Snape is helping protect the stone, and Hagrid inadvertently reveals he and Dumbledore know how to get past Fluffy. As a dragon egg Hagrid acquired hatches, Malfoy spies on them. McGonagall catches Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Malfoy out of bed, docking house points from both Gryffindor and Slytherin. As punishment, they are sent with Hagrid and Filch into the Forbidden Forest to investigate injured unicorns. Disappointed over Norbert's departure, Hagrid inadvertently reveals to Harry, Ron, and Hermione that he told a cloaked figure how to get past Fluffy, which they suspect Snape exploited. Dumbledore's sudden departure to London further fuels their fears that someone will try to steal the Sorcerer's Stone. They remain convinced Snape is behind the challenges, knowing Fluffy's secret. Determined to protect the stone, the trio decides to go down the trapdoor themselves, stunning Neville when he tries to stop them. They find Fluffy asleep, a harp playing magically, and a trapdoor beneath the giant dog. They jump through the trapdoor and land amidst the devil's snare, which attempts to suffocate them. Hermione, remembering its weakness, uses fire to repel the plant, but the trio falls through another opening to the floor below. The next challenge is a room full of flying keys, one of which unlocks the next door. Harry, the best flyer, bravely mounts a broom and, despite being struck by several keys, manages to catch the correct one. Ron and Hermione, unnerved, push Harry through the door to face the next trial alone. Harry, Ron, and Hermione enter a chamber containing a giant chess set, and Ron realizes they must play to proceed. Ron takes charge, assigning positions to each of them, knowing that this game will be real and dangerous. The chess game begins, with Ron strategically directing their moves, resulting in the violent destruction of the chess pieces. To ensure Harry's progress, Ron sacrifices himself, instructing Harry to move into a position for checkmate before being struck down by a chess piece. A heartbroken Hermione urges Harry to continue alone, acknowledging his strength and skill. Harry advances and finds Quirrell, not Snape, standing before the Mirror of Erist. Quirrell reveals that Snape distrusts him and explains how the mirror functions. Harry, understanding the mirror's power, obtains the Sorcerer's Stone from within it and holds it in his hand. Voldemort, speaking through Quirrell, demands that Quirrell seize the stone. When Quirrell touches Harry, he is burned by Harry's touch. Voldemort insists that Quirrell try again to get Harry, and the scene ends abruptly as Harry grabs Quirrell's face. Recovering in the hospital wing, Harry Potter asks Dumbledore about Ron's and Hermione's condition and the fate of the Philosopher's Stone. Dumbledore confirms the stone is destroyed, a decision reached with Nicholas Flamel, which will lead to Flamel's eventual death. Harry Potter wonders how Dumbledore obtained the stone, and Dumbledore explains that only someone desiring the stone without intending to use it could acquire it from the Mirror of Erist. Dumbledore states that protecting the stone in that way was one of his more brilliant ideas, and when Harry Potter asks if Voldemort can return, Dumbledore confirms that ways exist. Dumbledore explains that Quirrell couldn't bear to touch Harry Potter because of his mother's sacrifice, which left a protective love mark on Harry Potter. Dumbledore then offers Harry Potter a Bertie Bott's every flavor bean, but after getting an earwax flavored one, he declines them, regretting that he ever liked them. Later, Harry Potter joins Ron and Hermione in the Great Hall, where Dumbledore is about to award the House Cup. Initially, Slytherin is in the lead, but Dumbledore awards Hermione, Ron, and Harry Potter extra points for their bravery and intellect, leading Gryffindor to win. Slytherin expresses outrage while McGonagall looks satisfied, and Hagrid smiles approvingly. On the Hogwarts Express, Hagrid gives Harry Potter a scrapbook entitled A Father's Love, advising him to threaten Dudley with having his tail turned into a pair of ears. Harry Potter and Hermione board, and as the train departs, Harry Potter looks at the scrapbook, which opens to a photograph of his parents, Lily and James Potter. Hagrid watches the train leave, looking towards Hogwarts Castle in the distance.